After my billionaire husband died, the way his two sons looked at me started to get strange. I was terrified they might kick me out, and every day felt like I was tiptoeing on a tightrope. One sleepless night, I logged onto Reddit and anonymously posted in a support forum. Help! My wealthy husband just died, and his sons seem to hate me. What should I do? Kind strangers responded. Have they actually said they hate you? I paused, thinking it over. Well, no. But the way they look at me is terrifying. Like they want to devour me alive, TT_TT. Then a mysterious reply appeared. Don't worry. Just grab a few boxes tonight and smooth things over. A few boxes? Of what? I stared at the comment, turning it over in my mind until it finally made some kind of sense. That evening, hands trembling, I returned home with 6 boxes of Teddy Grahams. Now, don't underestimate the power of 6 boxes of cookies. Apparently, both Marcus and Leo Covington had a serious sweet tooth. I had spent the entire afternoon bouncing between 3 gourmet markets to find these 6 rare flavors, and my legs felt like jelly by the end. I carefully arranged the boxes inside a decorative gift container, tied a satin ribbon around it, and placed it in the most obvious spot on the living room coffee table. A handwritten note completed the gesture. You've both been through so much lately. Just a little something I love, and I hope you'll too. For Marcus and Leo. Smiley face. For a small teaser, I posted an Instagram story for my close friends list, which at this point consisted only of them. 6 boxes. Plenty to share. First come, first served. No pictures, of course. The surprise was in the reveal. I stepped back to admire my handiwork, secretly imagining their reactions. 2 weeks ago, my husband, Arthur Covington, had fallen during a rock climbing trip at Devil's Pass. Days later, the rescue team never found a trace of him. After 2 years of marriage, I had thought I'd finally reached the pinnacle of life. Dreams of yachts, models, sprawling villas. My life was supposed to be golden. But when the lawyer read the will, reality hit like a sledgehammer. Everything went to the sons. I wasn't getting a single dime. My future, according to the will, would be arranged at the discretion of the boys. A genuine sob escaped me. I'd grown used to a life of effortless luxury, and the thought of returning to my old, miserable existence was unbearable. If only I'd spent the last 2 years charming those 2 boys, maybe things would be different. Arthur had 2 sons from different mothers. Marcus, the elder, already ran the family corporation. Tall, intimidating, with his father's sharp dark eyes, he rarely smiled, radiating control and quiet authority. Leo, the younger, was still in college. A quarter Slavic, impossibly handsome, he always wore a predator's smirk. Their only connection to me was barely anything. And since Arthur's death, the way these strangers looked at me had grown steadily more alarming. They were definitely plotting to toss me out. I cupped my face in my hands, brows knitting in worry. Now, all I had left were the 6 boxes of cookies and the cryptic advice from that mysterious Redditor. I just hoped it was enough. I hadn't even saved a single box for myself. The sound of the front door clicking open echoed through the foyer. Tonight, Marcus and Leo came home together, something that rarely happened. Marcus froze for a moment when he saw me waiting on the sofa, his expression unreadable. Leo, on the other hand, just arched an eyebrow in my direction. You're back. I chirped, trying to sound casual. I gestured toward the pink gift box on the table. I'm sorry, I added, my voice trembling slightly. I've been so busy taking care of Arthur that I might have neglected you both. This is something I picked out just for you. Now that your father's gone, it's just the 3 of us left, isn't it? I fought back tears, blinking rapidly from the onion fumes I'd endured earlier. I dabbed at the corner of my eye, emphasizing the 3 of us, a subtle hint that I envisioned our future together. That's thoughtful of you, stepmom. Thank you, Leo said first, his tone polite but teasing. Seeing Marcus still frozen in place, Leo nudged him lightly. Brother, if you don't want it, hand it over to me. Don't just stand there scowling. You'll scare her. I waved my hands quickly. It's no problem. Honestly, if Marcus didn't want it, I could devour all 6 boxes myself. But before that thought could finish forming, Marcus stepped forward. His long fingers picked up one of the small, pink-wrapped boxes. I never said I didn't want it, he said, his tone serious. Almost tense, for reasons I couldn't quite place. Leo grabbed a box too, shaking it gently. The little rattle made the corner of his mouth twitch into a wider grin. Then, as he tore it open, his expression changed. Plenty to go around. First come, first served. That's what you meant. Across the table, Marcus had also unwrapped his gift. He stared at the raspberry-flavored Teddy Grahams in his hand, and a soft chuckle escaped him. Wait, was Marcus happy? Leo, however, didn't seem as pleased. He stepped closer to me, so near I could feel his warmth. His gaze lingered on my lips as he let out a low, drawn-out sigh. "Stepmom," he murmured, voice husky, "you really think a few little snacks are enough to satisfy the two of us?" "Of course not," I exclaimed, scrambling to defend myself. "I know you have big appetites, so I made dinner myself. The cookies are for dessert." For a moment, Leo was silent, amber eyes narrowing as if he was about to comment further. Then Marcus's hand landed gently on Leo's shoulder. His voice was softer than I'd ever heard. "Rosalind, thank you for the dinner and the gift," he said. "Father just passed. You've been running around taking care of everything. You're exhausted. From now on, you don't have to handle these things yourself. Let the staff manage it." From now on? Did that mean he wasn't kicking me out? I clung to that word, my relief bursting into a wide smile. "Oh, you're so right. I'm completely worn out. And the candles at the memorial were so strong, they made my eyes water for hours. Still red and swollen. I really should get some rest." The truth? During the memorial, I'd been fuming over Arthur leaving me not a single cent. My anger boiled so high, I'd accidentally spilled a glass of red wine on his favorite portrait when no one was looking. But I'd never admit that aloud. No, I had to keep up the act of the grieving, helpless widow. I was determined. I wasn't leaving this house anytime soon. Late that night, a storm rolled in. Rain hammered against the windows, a steady, almost soothing rhythm. Relaxed at last, I soaked in a bubble bath, sipping champagne. I had always expected Marcus to be the cold, ruthless one, the one who'd show me the door without a second thought. But he was surprisingly reasonable. I grabbed my phone and messaged the anonymous Redditor who had given me advice. "Thank you. Your suggestion worked wonders. Although I think I underestimated the portions. The boxes were too small, they didn't seem fully satisfied. Next time, I'll bring more." No reply came. Shrugging, I hummed a tune and stepped out of the tub. Knock, knock. Assuming it was the maid with my usual warm milk, I tightened my robe and opened the door. The scent of alcohol hit me first. A tall, damp figure stumbled into my arms. Leo's blonde hair clung to his face, soaked from the rain. His warm breath brushed my neck, mingling with the faint scent of my lotion. I froze. When I was a kid, he murmured into my shoulder, "Dad would hold me during storms like this. I wonder, is he watching? Is it raining where he is?" His voice cracked and he whispered, "I miss him so much." I understood the grief. Losing a parent was unbearable, but this was way too close. I was in a bathrobe. I tried to gently push him back, but he only held me tighter. "Stepmom," he whispered, "can I sleep with you tonight?" "What?" He had to be drunk. "No," I said firmly. "Go sleep in your room, next to your brother. That's what beds are for." His damp eyes shimmered with disappointment. "But you're my stepmom, aren't you? You said you'd take care of me. Why are you pushing me away?" "I did say I'd take care of you," I stammered, flushed. "But sleeping together? That's not right." Leo blinked innocently. "Stepmom, what are you thinking?" I clarified quickly. "I meant on the floor. In your room. Nothing else." A burning blush crept up my neck. Right, he was in college, surrounded by young women. Of course, he wasn't thinking about me. My refusal made me look like I had inappropriate thoughts instead. Seeing my hesitation, Leo slumped. "I knew it. That's why you said no so fast. What kind of person do you think I am? My dad used to let me sleep in this room when I was little. That's why he was lost in his memories again, and I felt mortified." "Fine. Stop talking. You can come in." His face lit up with a brilliant smile. "Thanks, stepmom. You're the best." As he closed the door, his gaze flicked toward the staircase. In the shadows, someone stood, expression unreadable. Leo only smirked. For the next few days the house felt weird, like a room full of held breath. Marcus stayed silent around me, distant and closed off. Leo, meanwhile, followed me like a shadow, calling me stepmom every other sentence, his mischief barely hidden under a sugary smile. My life of comfort was dangling by a slender thread. So, naturally, I messaged my mysterious Reddit savior again. "Help. God-tier user, your method worked, but now they are fighting over who gets to sleep on my floor. Advice." The reply took ages, then came blunt and short. Men respond to clear signals. Be firm, show them you mean it. Firm, huh? I chewed on the word and realized Teddy Grahams were too childish. If I needed to prove I was serious, I had to do something with weight, something honest and warm. The one thing the boys might be missing, after all their luxury, was a real home-cooked meal. I declared a kitchen takeover, gave Maria the day off, and set out to make dinner, channeling maternal devotion. In reality, I could not have been more clueless. It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to light the stove. What followed looked less like food and more like evidence of a culinary crime scene. My sweet and sour ribs resembled coal, scrambled eggs were the texture of tomato soup, and while trying to make Coca-Cola wings, the oil flared up into a small inferno. I screamed, spatula launching from my hand, convinced in that instant I was about to torch the mansion. Someone moved faster. A lid smothered the flames, the pan went quiet, and I turned to find Marcus standing there, eyes wide with concern. He grabbed my hands, checked for burns, his brows knitted with real worry. I'm fine, I squeaked, astonished by his tenderness. His palms were warm, steadied mine, and the moment felt oddly intimate. Who let you in the kitchen? He demanded, half scolding, half afraid. If you want food, ask the chef. I wanted to show you I was serious, I whispered, voice cracking. He surveyed the smoky mess, then, without a word, brushed a finger beneath my eye and said, softly, don't cry. Everything you make, I like. Then he did something I did not expect. He picked up a pair of chopsticks, chose a charcoal black rib, and ate it. He chewed, swallowed, and did not grimace. He simply kept eating. Leo sauntered in, took in the scene, and burst out laughing. Stepmom, are you experimenting with alchemy? Marcus, eat that, and you might see Dad by morning. Marcus shot him a cold look, then guided me out of the kitchen and down to the table. Maria, prepare a new dinner, he ordered. He sat opposite me and, in silence, ate every last bite of my disaster dishes. Not a scrap remained. Watching him, a jumble of feelings churned in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, he did not want me gone. After that night, Marcus softened toward me. He still spoke little, but his gaze no longer felt like an interrogation. Sometimes he would finish work and sit beside me on the couch, watching whatever trashy reality show I was glued to. Leo grew clingier, inventing reasons to need me, for laptop fixes, for inspiration with essays, for company. I had not finished high school, but declining him felt impossible. Everything kept teetering along, until Arthur's one-week Memorial Day. We held a small ceremony at the house. Kneeling on a cushion, the priest's words droning and incense thick in the air, I felt my eyes droop. Then Leo whispered near my ear, cutting through the haze, Stepmom, did you know my brother keeps pictures of you hidden in his study? I snapped awake. What? Bottom drawer of his desk, the one with the lock, he purred, amusement clear in his voice. My stomach plummeted. Why would Marcus have pictures of me? Had he been collecting evidence to toss me out? After all, I had done a few risque shoots in the past, mostly to spite Arthur. I pictured photos, printed proofs, proof of impropriety. Panic rose hot and fast. Tonight, when everyone slept, I decided I would sneak into his study, find those pictures, and destroy anything that could be used against me. That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, I crept down the hall toward Marcus's study. He was out at a business dinner, which meant I had a narrow window before he came home. My pulse drummed in my ears as I tested the doorknob. To my relief, it turned easily. The study was massive, lined with shelves that reached the ceiling, filled with leather-bound books that smelled faintly of wood and time. My footsteps barely made a sound on the thick rug as I crossed to the mahogany desk. At the bottom, I spotted a drawer with a small silver keyhole. Of course it was locked. I froze, mind racing, then pulled a bobby pin from my hair. I had no clue what I was doing, but I'd seen it work in movies, so I gave it a shot. To my utter shock, after a few twists, I heard a faint click. The lock popped open. Luck was finally on my side. With trembling hands, I eased the drawer open, expecting to see the kind of scandalous photos that could ruin me. Instead, there was only one small picture frame. Inside was a photo of me, taken 2 years ago, not long after my marriage. I was outside in the garden, feeding a stray cat. The sunlight caught my hair, and I was smiling, carefree and happy. I didn't even own a copy of this picture. When did he take it? Beside it sat a velvet box in deep blue. My curiosity won. I lifted the lid, and there it was, a diamond necklace. The same one I'd admired at a charity gala, the one Arthur had refused to buy because he said it was too much. Marcus had bought it instead? Before I could process that, the door creaked open. The box slipped from my hands and hit the floor with a dull thud. Marcus stood in the doorway, the faint scent of whiskey clinging to his suit. His expression was unreadable, a mix of shock and something heavier. "What are you doing here?" I stumbled for an excuse. I was just passing by, even I didn't buy it. His gaze followed the path of my guilt. The picture frame clutched behind my back, the open drawer, the fallen necklace box. His jaw tightened as he walked toward me, each step slow and deliberate. "Who let you in?" His voice was low, rough. "It was Leo," I blurted. "He said you had pictures of me, and I was afraid you might." "Afraid I'd what?" He cut in, closing the space between us. His presence was so close I could barely breathe. "Use them against you? Throw you out?" I nodded, too nervous to speak. Marcus stared at me for a long moment, then gave a quiet laugh that sounded more pained than amused. He reached around me and gently took the photo frame. His thumb brushed across my image, his voice dropping to something raw and steady. "Rosalind," he murmured, "how long are you going to stay blind? If I wanted you gone, you have been out on day one." My breath caught. "Then why?" He met my eyes. "Because I'm in love with you." My brain stopped working. For a moment, all I could hear was the rush of blood in my ears. In love? With me? That was more unbelievable than Arthur leaving me a billion-dollar fortune. Marcus went on, his gaze fierce and burning. "From the moment you married him, I couldn't stand it. I hated my father because he took you, someone alive, bright, real, and turned you into a decorative cage bird. Every time I looked at you, it was because I couldn't help it. I wanted what he had." He paused, eyes softening slightly, then added, "And that mysterious Redditor giving you advice? That was me." For a full second, I forgot how to breathe. He was the Redditor? The same one who told me to get a few boxes? I blinked hard, remembering Leo's teasing words about my few boxes and my innocent Instagram post. Plenty to go around. First come, first served. Mortification hit me like a freight train. My entire face burned. "So, when you said a few boxes," I managed weakly. Marcus's ears turned pink, though his tone stayed composed. "I wanted to see what you'd do. I didn't expect you to take it literally." He exhaled a soft laugh. "You actually went around town buying Teddy Grahams." He shook his head and stepped closer, his voice gentler now. "Rosalind, how can someone be so impossibly adorable?" Before I could respond, he pulled me into his arms. His chest was solid, warm, and his heartbeat thudded against my ear. My thoughts were a jumble of disbelief and chaos. All this time, I thought Marcus wanted me gone. Turns out, one of them just wanted to get me into his bed. And the other one? He'd already fallen for me long before I even noticed. What kind of twisted soap opera was I living in? "Brother, I knew you'd be here." The study door slammed open, and Leo stormed in, breathless and smug. The moment his eyes landed on Marcus holding me, his grin disappeared like a snuffed-out candle. "What the hell is going on?" Marcus didn't even flinch. He just turned slightly, keeping one arm around me. Exactly what it looks like. The temperature in the room dropped. Leo's golden eyes darkened with fury. "You sneaky bastard," he hissed. "That Reddit account was yours, wasn't it?" "Yes," Marcus said simply, his tone unreadable. Leo's hands balled into fists. You think you can just trick her like that?" He turned to me, desperate. "Stepmom, don't fall for his act. He's lying to you. He doesn't love you. He just wants control. Both of you, stop," I pleaded, my head spinning as tension crackled between them. "Rosalind, come here," Leo said, holding out his hand. Marcus's arm tightened around my waist. "She's not going anywhere. This is between me and her." Leo shot back, stepping closer. "The moment she became part of this family, it became my business," Marcus replied coolly. The air was thick with anger, two storms colliding right over me. I'd had enough. "Both of you, shut up," I shouted, shoving free from Marcus's grasp. "Do you hear yourselves? You sound insane." I pointed straight at Marcus. "You've supposedly been in love with me for 2 years, and your grand confession comes through an anonymous Reddit post? We're not done talking about that." Then I spun on Leo. "And you. Stop hiding behind your dead dad every time you mess up. If he could see how you use his memory to guilt people, he'd probably rise from the grave just to slap you." They both froze, mouths slightly open. For the first time since entering this ridiculous mansion, I actually felt like the adult in the room. Let me make something clear, I said, hands on my hips. I'm confused, frustrated, and tired. So, until I figure this mess out, neither of you comes near me. Understood. Both men looked too stunned to speak. Good. Now go to your rooms. I marched out of the study before either could respond, leaving two silent brothers behind me. I locked myself in my room and refused to come out for an entire day. I needed time to breathe, to process me, Rosalind, a woman who once just wanted a quiet, pampered widowhood, was suddenly the center of a feud between two billionaire heirs. This was absurd. By evening, my stomach reminded me I couldn't survive on principle alone. I cracked the door open to check if the coast was clear. Nope. There they were, standing guard on either side of my doorway like rival bodyguards. Between them sat two dinner trays, the scent of roasted chicken and fresh bread curling through the air. The second they noticed me, both straightened. Rosalind, you must be hungry, Marcus said softly. I had the kitchen make all your favorites. Stepmom, ignore him, Leo interrupted. I asked the chef to make a collagen-rich chicken soup. Great for your skin. I stared at them, speechless. Then sighed. Fine. Get in here. The three of us sat at the small table in my room, awkward silence stretching between us. I decided to rip off the bandage first. Marcus, I began, staring him down, have you really been in love with me all this time? He nodded once. Yes. Then why wait until now to say it? I didn't have the right, he admitted quietly. You were my father's wife, and I thought you loved him. I snorted before I could stop myself. I loved his money. The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. My heart dropped. Oh, perfect. I'd said the quiet part out loud. Both brothers stared at me. Well, no going back now. That's right, I said, squaring my shoulders. I married Arthur for the money. I wanted security, comfort, a life where I didn't have to take the subway or live off instant noodles. I was tired of struggling. So there you have it. I finished flatly. I'm shallow and greedy. Happy. Marcus didn't look angry or offended. He simply smiled, calm and sure. Then, without a word, he reached across the table and took my hand. I've known that for a long time, he said softly. I knew why you married my father. I knew you weren't happy these past 2 years. He glanced down, his thumb brushing gently across my knuckles. But I also saw you feeding the stray cats in the garden when you thought no one was watching. I saw you trying to make soup for Maria when she got sick, even though you nearly burned the pot. I saw you crying your eyes out over that awful romance movie. Rosalind, loving money isn't a sin, he continued. What's wrong is losing your heart for it. And you never did. His words sank deep, warm and unguarded. My chest tightened, and before I knew it, tears were already sliding down my cheeks. He had noticed every little thing. Every small, human detail I thought no one cared about. I turned to Leo, wiping my face. My voice came out rough. What about you? When did it start for you? For once, Leo wasn't smirking or teasing. His gaze was serious, steady. I don't know, he said quietly. From the moment I saw you in this house, everything changed. You were loud. You laughed too much. You were clumsy. A faint smile tugged at his lips. But you made me happy. He looked down at his hands, then back at me. After Dad died, I saw you crying in secret. I saw how scared you were of being kicked out. And all I could think was, I have to protect her. I have to keep her with me, where no one can take her away. His voice was low but resolute. My mind went blank. One was gentle and steady, the other wild and sincere. Both had somehow found their way into my heart. Was this some kind of divine prank? I swallowed hard. I need time to think. Both men leaned in slightly, waiting. I'm giving you 1 week, I said. And I'm giving myself 1 week. After that, I'll give you my answer. Marcus and Leo exchanged a long, unreadable glance. Neither of them liked it, but both nodded. Okay, Marcus said. The next week, I lived like royalty. Marcus and Leo went all out in their campaigns of affection. One day, Marcus rented an entire amusement park just for the two of us. The next, Leo had thousands of roses flown in, literally a private garden worth of flowers. When Marcus cooked a candlelit dinner, Leo responded with a guitar serenade beneath my balcony. By midweek, I was drowning in love and luxury. Company shares, villas, handbags that sold out before I could blink. Whatever I looked at for more than 2 seconds would appear in my room the next day. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying it. For the first time in my life, I was truly living the fantasy of being adored and spoiled beyond reason. But deep down, I knew it couldn't last. I had to choose. And I had no idea how. Marcus was calm, mature, the kind of man who made you feel safe just by standing next to him. Leo was impulsive, reckless, but alive in a way that pulled you in. Choosing one meant losing something precious. The seventh day arrived, quiet and gray. It was the anniversary of Marcus's mother's death. He was already dressed in a black suit when I came downstairs, his expression somber. "Rosalind," he said gently, "will you come with me to see her?" I didn't hesitate. Of course. The cemetery was hushed under a light drizzle. Marcus placed a bouquet of white lilies on the headstone and stood still for a long moment, his eyes on the smiling woman in the photograph. "I was 10 when she passed," he murmured. "After that, my father remarried Leo's mother, then later, he married you. This house has always been full of people, but it's felt empty most of my life." He turned toward me. "Until you came. You brought warmth into it." His dark eyes softened, almost pleading. "Rosalind, I don't want to be alone anymore. Stay with me, please." Rain slid down his hair, tracing his jaw, his lips. I couldn't tell if it was rain or tears. My heart clenched at the raw honesty in his face. I was about to nod when another shadow appeared beside me. Leo. He held an umbrella over my head, tilting it so I stayed dry while the rain soaked his shoulder. "Stepmom," he said quietly, "don't listen to him." He stepped closer. "Whatever he can give you, I can too. And the things he can't, I'll do better. I'll make you happy. I promise." He reached for my other hand, his grip warm, his gaze burning with emotion. Rain poured harder, blurring the edges of everything except the two of them. Marcus, steady as stone. Leo, fierce as fire. And me, caught between them, heart pounding, breath trembling, knowing that this time, I couldn't run from the choice waiting in front of me. I drew a deep breath and gently pulled my hand from Leo's grasp. Meeting his hurt, earnest gaze, I whispered, "Leo, I'm sorry." "You're incredible," he said softly. "Truly. Like the sun, warm, bright, every day with you would be an adventure." But I hesitated, then turned to Marcus. "What I need right now isn't the blazing sun," I admitted. "I think I need the harbor. A place where I feel safe." His eyes lit up instantly. Step by step, I moved closer until I stood before him. Rising onto my toes, I pressed my lips to his. They were cool from the rain at first, but the spark between us ignited immediately. Marcus froze briefly, then kissed me back with a fierce intensity, his arms wrapping around me as if to make us one. Behind me, I heard Leo exhale quietly, his sigh almost lost in the sound of rain. When we finally pulled apart, I leaned against Marcus's chest, breathless and flushed. "Marcus, I choose you." He caught my gaze, a playful glint lighting his eyes. "One condition," he murmured. "Anything," I said, matching his intensity. A sly grin curved my lips. "From now on, I'm in charge of the family finances." Marcus laughed, tapping my nose affectionately. "Okay," he said, voice rich with adoration. "Whatever you want. The company, the estates, the cars, everything. All yours," I said, beaming. "I'm all yours too," he replied. It was perfect. Love, luxury, everything I could have wanted. We turned to say something to Leo, but he was already gone, leaving only a black umbrella standing abandoned in the rain. Marcus squeezed my hand. "He'll be okay," he said. "He just needs time." I leaned my head on his shoulder. From that moment, I wasn't just Rosalind. I was Marcus's partner and the true mistress of the house. 6 months later, I lounged on a beach chair on our private island, cocktail in hand, letting the sun warm my skin. Nearby, Marcus was on the phone, effortlessly handsome even in a casual linen shirt. And Leo? He was in sunglasses, laughing as he played beach volleyball with a beautiful blonde. Since I made my choice, he'd sulked briefly, then returned to his carefree playboy ways. Yet he never brought anyone home. Sometimes he sent odd little gifts from his travels. Once, it had been a crate filled with Teddy Grahams. The attached card read, "Stepmom, hopefully this is enough to satisfy my brother now." Marcus froze, darkening instantly, and promptly suspended Leo's credit cards for 3 months. Some sibling wars never truly end, But that was their problem. My own responsibilities were simple: look gorgeous and shop. A buzz from my phone drew my attention, a text from an unknown number. Enjoying the vacation, sis? Your forever mystery redditor. I blinked, then smiled. It was Leo. He had finally, truly let go. Marcus, having just finished his call, turned to me. His eyes, brimming with affection, were impossible to ignore. He sat beside me, arms wrapping around my shoulders, and asked, "What are you smiling about?" "Nothing," I said, nuzzling against him. "Just a friend." Later that night, Marcus produced a beautifully wrapped box from his suitcase. My face heated immediately. I opened it and saw a collection of treats in every shape, color, and flavor imaginable. "I'm tired of Teddy Grahams," he murmured in my ear, voice low and teasing. "Tonight, let's try something new." I laughed, heart pounding, wrapping my arms around his neck and kissing him. "Okay," I whispered back. This time, I knew I had chosen the right box and the right man.